whether you want a prop bait like this, or a Zara spook when you're going after trophy fish or something, or early spring, using a little minnow bait like this to bring the fish your way, all topwaters will produce fish.
You know what you're trying to make your bait look like in here around all these pads is you look like a little frog hopping around on top of the water, just kind of tantalizing the fish. You know, frogs don't move real fast. They kind of kick a time or two, and they'll stop. Here it go, bloop, bloop, bloop. Sound like a frog to me.
What do you think the fish could see that and how far?
Oh, pretty nice one there. Came out of the pads. Come out of there, big boy. Around that stick. Come here, guy. You just swimming through there. Got my little pawpaw in his mouth. He thought he was something. He thought he was something. Gotcha. I gotcha. Look right down his mouth there. He ate it head first. He was feeding. He was feeding. All right. Put you down right here by this stump. Right in there in the green ones. You know, there's lots of frogs in the fall that, you know, they tadpoles go out in the summer, and then them frogs are about this long when they turn to frogs. And now the frogs are about this long. It's just fall. It's just the same size as this little bait I'm using right here. And we're kind of making it look like a frog, popping it off these lily pads, pull it up to a lily pad, and bump it into the pad. Pretty soon the pad will turn, you can pull the bait on. It looks like a little frog trying to crawl up on a pad. And to a bass, that's lunch. To a bass, that's lunch. And you just look for the little holes back in here to throw it into. Oop. Looks like a little frog in there. Just, he goes hop, hop. Let him sit there a second. Blue, blue, blue.
The secret of this thing is give the fish time to get to your lure. You would be surprised how far a fish will come to hit a topwater. You throw a worm, a plastic worm in the water, I don't feel like if the fish is not over 3 or 4 feet away from the worm, do I have a chance of him ever even seeing it, all right? But with a topwater lure, you can pull a fish from 30 feet away, 40, out from under trees and logs and vegetation, because these type of lures really call fish to them. So you can pull a fish out of...
disturbing the surface.
Right.
Anything that disturbs the surface, the more disturbance it creates on the surface, the further it'll draw the fish to it.
That's right. If you are going to be drawing fish from a long distance, you can't throw a lure out there and just pop, 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 pop it all the way back to the boat. What you've done is you've pulled the fish right under you, and now you throw the lure 40 yards back out there, and he has to track it out again. Pop, 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 pop.
Just a little bit.
All topwaters will produce fish, and they will probably catch fish more than we think. I know a lot of people really would rather fish topwater baits. I mean, I would rather see a fish come to the surface, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
But you can't catch one on the surface with it in your tackle box. Always take your rod when you go to the lake, just in case a fish happens to break at the surface, chase a shad or something. Keep you one of these topwater baits tied on. And to me, it really doesn't matter which style you use. You can have the little prop bait like this, all right? You can have the big Zara spook like this. A minnow bait works everywhere all across the country. Or you can take the little poppers like this that work extremely well.
Everything you got to remember is laying in that pad underneath. It pulls through one pad, give it a little pop, and it'll just pop and hop off the one onto the other one. fishes real good, slow. You don't have to fish it fast. Just looks like something that's scooting between the pads. There it comes around the pad, over the bush, around the log, through more pads. Oh, come on, guy. Come out of there. There he comes. Ooh. He's not as big as I thought he was. He just had me all leveraged around all of those pads and all of that stuff. Come here, little guy. I mean, not a great big fish, but like my little old bait was awful pretty spot. I thought you were bigger than you are. You tricked me. You tricked me. Let me go right up there.
A topwater lure, you can work it fast, but every once in a while, stop it. Let it stop. Let the fish have a chance to come to it. And there's different styles that really work the best, and probably the oldest style is the popper or the chugger style lure. These go back, I guess the guy that carved the first lure was a topwater and put a little indention in the nose of it so it would disturb the...
It just cups that air, pops and throws bubbles out, creates a lot of noise, not rattles,
right,
but a popping sound.
Blue, blue, blue.
Ooh, that's a nice one there. Came up and ate it right off of that lily pad. Come on, big boy. Get in here. Thing about it, you gotta watch, keep him from around that stump, over that lily pad right there. Yes, we got him coming. He's halfway home. Come here. Come here. I mean, woo! That one resembles a full-grown one right there. He's just about full grown. I mean, just goes to show you as the day passes, you know, early you can do some things. As the sun gets a little bit higher, you can switch a bait and go to another lure, fishing more under the shadows. Beautiful fish right there. Got a little black spot on his tail. Nice fins, real healthy. Getting ready for the fall. Put you in the water right there next to my little pawpaw. What do you think? Good deal, good deal. Let me throw it back in this little pocket. What I'll say, just take that tree over. That's my tree. Nobody fishes around my tree. You know, try to tantalize the fish with a bait. That pad turns around, you can just pull it right off that pad. You know, make it look like a frog. There he is. Well, that one there thought it was a little frog, because it's a little fish. But see, I tricked him. He thought that was a frog, and I tricked him. He probably won't eat frogs for a week or two, and then he'll go back to eating frogs again.
Now, another style that is tremendous with people that are beginning anglers is the little prop style baits. This is a little torpedo. Now, this has a little prop on it to really, you know, create the disturbance on the water. You can get a prop bait with a single prop. Hold that one up right there, Billy. There's an old
double prop.
Yeah, that's an old head and spook. And notice that it's got a double prop on it. Here's a little
Crazy shad.
Yeah, another little old prop bait. So these lures I find work real good around thick vegetation. You can give them that little quick jerk, makes a buzzing sound more than a popping sound. Yeah, makes that buzzing sound, but then you must set and let them set for a second or two and let the fish to, you know, move to them.
This is the quietest topwater bait that you can throw as a minnow.
Does not make much noise.
That's right, and probably it's the first topwater bait that bass will bite in the springtime. And you work it so slow. If this thing's laying on the water early in the spring, just as it's starting to warm up, you just want to bait this bait rock down in the water and then float back up. You don't want it to wiggle and run.
No.
You just want it to rock down in the water and sit very still.
This lure has a lot of flash. It has more flash to it. You notice how broad the sides are and the sun reflects, so a fish can see it a long way even though it doesn't make a lot of noise.
It throws a lot of reflection.
Right. Is finding the fish first and know if he's feeding. When I see a fish break the surface, I've solved both of those things. I know where he is.
And he's eating something.
And he's biting. So when you see that happening, throw your favorite topwater bait close to him and get ready, because the strike's right behind the cast.
You know, when you're fishing like this back in all this cover, I mean, you've got to throw it in that hole back there. I mean, you can't throw it 30 feet to the right of it or 20 feet to the left of it. You know, you got to cast it up, throw it back there, and drop it in that hole. It's just like if you were a hunter and could never hit anything with your gun. I mean, you're not very successful. So, I mean, casting's the same way. If you're going to fish targets and fish back in these pockets in the weeds, if you can't cast accurately, you're really hung up all the time. You know, and that's one thing that any fisherman can improve his fishing 10 times if he just learns to be able to throw the bait, not a long distance, 40 or 50 feet, and hit something the size of a wash tub. You know, you don't have to be a trick caster here now. We're just talking about casting a lure, hitting a hole of water back there and working your bait out. Ooh, had to be one on that log. Had to be there. Had to be on that log. He's running through the weeds. Not exceptionally large, but I mean, made a good pass at it. Good strike at it. Come here, little guy. Get my pliers and do a little quick extraction right there. There you go. Topwater bass. You know, every time you catch one or two of these, especially around these logs and stuff, you need to kind of check your line. Just run your fingers down it. If it feels frayed, that one right there is getting kind of frayed. Let's see. Pretty stout, though. I use pretty well everything I've got in topwater. I mean, you know, and you've only got maybe 4 different styles, and all I'm trying to do with colors, different colors here, is match what I figure the food source is. You know, I think he can hear it a whole lot further than he can see it in all this grass. I think you can get him to come close by the sound of it, and then he gets the sight of it. But I think that disturbance on the water, everything that falls in the water, you know, you got frogs and bugs of all kinds that get in the water that create noise, kind of makes a little sound, any kind of disturbance on the water, because you got to look out in these pads. Everything's quiet. Nothing's making any noise. Then all of a sudden, here comes something going bloop, bloop. Believe it's a frog. Try this side over here. Ooh, he's still on it. Coming back this way, nice and good. Hold your head up, boy. Hold your head up, get over that log. He's right in that log. Ooh, a little better. Come this way. Walk this way. Walk this way right here. Here you go. Get down there and reach. Come here. Come here. Yes! Oh, that is so much fun to watch those fish. You just, I mean, every cast you feel like you're going to catch one, but it's so much fun because you anticipate that strike. You know, you can throw it out in that pocket and you can pop the bait a few times, and when you see this lure come right up next to one of these lily pads, you know there's something just like this sitting right under that lily pad. I mean, I could have told you I was going to get a strike there. I mean, just a feeling you get when you make that perfect cast and you pull it right up to the spot where you feel there's going to be a fish, because you can see all these logs out under the water here and all these pads. And all these pads just make it look like a little frog hopping around on top of the water, just kind of tantalizing the fish. You know, frogs don't move real fast. They kind of kick a time or two and they'll stop. Here it go, bloop, bloop, bloop. Sound like a frog to me.
What do you think the fish could see that, and how far?
Oh, pretty nice one there. Came out of the pads. Come out of there, big boy. Around that stick. Come here, guy. He just swimming through there. Got my little pawpaw in his mouth. He thought he was something. He thought he was something. Gotcha. I gotcha. Look right down his mouth there. He ate it head first. He was feeding. He was feeding. Put you down right here by this stump. Right in there in the green weeds. You know, there's lots of...
Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Up here, little smallmouth. Yeah. Got him, Jim. Get my marker buoy out there. Yes, I do. Come here, buddy. Up here, well, he's gonna come up again. Yeah.
Nice smallmouth.
Yeah. He hit that knock slack in it. Just went, the line just went limp, and I tightened up, set the hook. I know what to do when that happens. I'm fishing today with Captain Dave Wallace, who owns the charter Amy's Joy out of Port Clinton, Ohio. If you don't know where that is, that's right on the banks of Lake Erie. We're gonna be fishing Lake Erie today and hopefully catching some of those pretty Lake Erie smallmouth. But we'll talk about the walleye fishing, kind of find out from Dave the best times to walleye fish and the best times to be here for this smallmouth. And my idea about the best time to go fishing is just any time you can get off from work. Come here, Bug. Are you tired yet?
Nice fish, Jimmy.
Woo! Are you tired yet, buddy? Are you tired yet? Well, open your mouth. You can tell that's a male bass. If it had been a female, it'd open his mouth just like that. Woo! And it's not real fat, so I'm sure that's a male bass.
Nice fish.
Yeah, I like my bass just like I like my women, fat and sassy.
Got to get a few more of those.
Yeah, we won't ever tell anybody I said that.
I don't think.
Goodbye, Booger. There's a little girl bass. She just didn't want my thumb in her mouth was off. She thought she was going to the skillet, Dave. But she wasn't.
Unfortunately, that's happened a few times up here.
That's happening a lot. You look off out there, there's a lot of bass going in the skillet today. If they're biting, they're going in the skillet, but not in this boat. They get to live again, to play again. Reckon I ought to ease this back up there toward our buoy. See if I can
Jimmy,
pull it
it's
up
my
there with our
turn.
drift socked out. I throwed a buoy out just as soon as I caught. In fact, before I even landed the fish, I picked the buoy up and throwed it out. Because a lot of times there'd be several of them. There might be one rock laying down there or something. We're drifting, but there might be one rock. There might be 4, 5, 6 fish laying around it. Or more. I'm gonna ease back up there just in case.
Just had a tap there, Jimmy. Oh, there he is.
Get him?
Yeah.
He was up on top, wasn't he?
Yeah, he hit that thing 3 times.
As y'all can tell, we have pulled over to the windy side of the island. We fished all around on the calm side where I caught that first one. We didn't get any bites, and we're out here in what seems like the Atlantic Ocean. Those look like big rollers behind you? They are big rollers. Big guys out here. Kind of hard to stand up. But there's a fish. And it's worth coming out here for a fish.
Fish is a bonus on a lot of days.
One thing about it, we don't have any company out here in this spot. All the folks that was in that spot up there, they haven't come out here. For some reason, I can't blame them. What do you think?
I don't know if this might be a sheephead right here, the way it's fighting.
No, that's a smallmouth.
Oh, yeah.
That's a smallmouth.
Yeah,
You bet it is.
Little jumper here.
Yeah. Not a huge one, but he'll work. I bet there's some bigger ones out here. We're on a little hump out here. It comes up about 13 foot right out here in the middle and drops off about 17. That'll work, won't it?
Jimmy, I always want to do this.
Well, do it to it. Whoa! You're going to spoil him,
See you
man.
later,
Giving
buddy.
him that long of sugar. Golly. Whoa! He's coming back. He's coming back.
Oh, I'll leave him for hopefully my son someday.
I thought that one, yeah, you're raising a fisherman, aren't you?
Absolutely.
What is he now, about 3, 4 years old?
3.5. He's been out here with me since he's been 6 months old.
He's ready to go, isn't he?
I had him out a couple weeks ago, and he caught, I asked him how many fish he caught when he got home, or his mother did, and he says 6 walleye. I think it was 2 sheephead and 1 perch.
6 walleye. He knew he was only allowed 6.
Absolutely.
Ooh, speaking of being on them strong, there's one right
we're on
there.
him now.
There's one. Well, it's rough water. This little hump out here, see, there's nobody else fishing it. There is so many people fishing today, and they're all up in that calm water, and you really can't blame them at all. I mean, that calm water is nice, but I don't know, he might be better than I thought. He don't feel very big. Oh, did you see that? Airborne. He's not bad. Whoa. He's not bad at all. And we've fallen off to 18 foot. We come down, we drifted all the way across the hump. We caught him on the other side. We caught one on the hump. Now we got up on the other side. Dave just missed one, and I caught one, lost him, and then might catch another one. I saw David Fritz one time do this, lean over the side like this, and he went swimming. And I don't want to do that. Ooh, that's a pretty fish. Ooh, look at that. That's a lot better fish than I thought it was. The one that got off was probably smaller. This is a bigger one. The reason I don't want to sit on the carpet is because it's wet from waves coming over the front of the boat. I got you, buddy. I got you now, buddy. Yes, I do. Yeah, that's a good one. Don't anybody move. We'll be right back. We're going to go up on the other side of this hump while y'all are having a sandwich. And David and I are...
If you want to go about 100 miles into your Geneva, Ashtabula areas, troll an 80 foot of water,
It's not
40
my
feet
cup
down,
of tea.
you can catch all the walleyes you want.
Not my cup of tea. You know, we've got a good friend of ours, John Hope, that tags bass down in Texas, big trophy bass. And he came up here to Lake Erie and tagged some walleye, put radio transmitters in them. He doesn't tag them, he puts transmitters, and then he can follow them. And he found some of these walleye moving 8 miles a day. I believe that's what he told me. I might be off a mile or two, but 8 miles a day. So you could go out to try to catch them one day and catch them, and the next day they're going to be 8 miles down the road maybe.
I can believe that. There's days I chase them around this lake 25 miles.
Yeah, they just move.
Very common to get a school 3, 4, 5 miles wide.
Oh, here we go. Golly. Well, I don't know what that is, but he sure hit that thing hard. Coming up like a smallmouth. Ooh, he's a good one if he is. Wow, look at that guy. Look at that guy, will you? Don't you break my line. You better start slipping, drag. I backed it off just a little bit. This is the guy right here, baby. This is the guy right here. Might take us a while. We might be here a while, sports fans, on this baby. Boy, he clubbed that, kaboom! He hit that thing so hard. I was thinking one of them big walleye. A 3-mile school of walleye. Look at him go, will you? Look at that. Look at that. He's back down there where I caught him now. Look at that. That's a bad deal. Y'all come back next week and we'll land this puppy. Woo. Hey, it's gonna be a while on him. Y'all got time to fix a sandwich? Freshen up your iced tea? Whoa, I tell you, that's a 4-pound fish, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. I'm gonna sit down here on this carpet, wet carpet and all. I'm gonna get down on my knees to land this one. I find good things happen when I get down on my knees. I didn't feel like...
You need any help with that one?
Huh? Y'all might need a gaff or something. What are you talking about needing help? Start praying, baby.
Hey, that's what we do through the ice.
Start praying.
On the big walleyes.
He's got to be... Whoa, look at that. Whoa, that's a big smallmouth. He's got to be getting tired. Look how fat he is. I'll get you... Open your mouth. Look at that now. Look at that. That is a puppy right there. Ooh, man. Man, oh, man. Now, that is...
Nice fish.
That is beautiful. That is
nice
beautiful right there. Oh, isn't that great? Goodbye, Angel. See you later. Coming from so deep, it's taking him a little bit to go. There he goes, though. See, he was down about 18 or 20 foot, and down that deep, it took him a long time to really... I told you good things happen to me when I'm down on my knees. I might just stay down here. Keep me from falling out of this boat, too. It's a lot rougher than it looks. I mean, I know, I've seen video when I've been out in this kind of water, and it didn't look that rough. But promise me, I tell you, it's a lot rougher than it looks. Pretty hard to stand up out here. Boy, he slammed that, David.
Did he?
Man, he slammed that thing. He really did.
Well, welcome to Lake Erie smallmouth fishing.
Oh, that's good. That's 4.5. That one didn't bite my tail off. No, sirree. He didn't bite my tail off. Come on up here and jump. Let's see how big you are. He said, I'm going to come up here and jump in a minute and throw your jig right back in your face, fat boy. Feels pretty good. Whoa, yes, he do. Yes, he do. Oh, yeah. Whoa, there goes my old dragaroni. Oh, God. They are beauties. I loved it. Oh, wait a minute. What's wrong with that picture? I was only kidding. I really didn't have one. Doesn't bother me, though, because I was going to release him anyway. I don't mind losing him like that. I can't believe that. It's about a 3-pounder. I was going to turn him loose anyway, so it doesn't bother me a bit. God, it makes me so mad I can't see straight. All right, I'm gonna get another one. Got time to get another one. You're not filming this, are you? I didn't get a good hook set on that one. I hope I get him. Don't get off, please don't get off. This is just a little one. The other one would make 3 of this. Golly, looky. Well, that's a pretty good one. The other one make 3 of this one. I promise you, he'd make 3 of this one. You know what? He went back down there and he said, bite that old dummy's bait. He can't land you anyway. If you get off, I'm going to get down there and I'm going to fillet every one of you. Don't you even think about getting off. I don't know what my problem was. I didn't get on my knees. Ooh, that's a pretty nice fish. There ain't nothing wrong with that fish. That other one, though, that other one was much, much larger than this one. I got a good glimpse of him. Oh, look at that. Woo! Come here, love. Come here, love. He says, love, fat rear end. I ain't coming up there and getting in your hand. Yes, you are. Just got to talk to him, David.
I guess.
You got to talk nice to him. Oh, you sweet thing. See you later, honey bunny. I may just do all my fishing from right here. Down on my knees. Bite bass, please. You're my favorite squeeze. Not.
Whoa, gotta talk to him, Jimmy. You gotta talk to him. Whoa,
look
at him dance.
Attaboy, David. Pretty nice little fish.
Oh.
They like it. They like that sock. We ought to use that for a combination wind sock and live well. Well, that's what we ought to invent. You know, we put a cover over the top of it, a mesh cover, like those wire nets that they carry all their crappie in. Oh, yeah.
Here you go.
Oh, yeah, he'll work. He'll play.
Well, Jimmy.
No, no tongue, no tongue, no tongue.
Oh.
Wow, that's a record, man. That fish will never bite again. I mean, he'll never bite again. Woo, did you brush your teeth this morning? Woo! No, the bass didn't either.
My. There he is.
Supposed to bite it when it comes over them rocks. Yes, he did. You made a mistake, guy. You really didn't, because I'm going to let you go. Got my ring caught down in there and like to crush my finger. How big are you, anyway? I didn't think he was very big. Ooh, he's a nice one. He is a nice one. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Come here, guy. Not a monster, but a good one. Another good Lake Erie bronze bag. Like old Billy Westmoreland used to say, them old brown fish. We've had a really good day out here on Lake Erie. It was tough. I mean, we fished like 3 or 4 hours and didn't catch hardly anything, but we were staying around that calm water, and there was just boats everywhere, people everywhere, everybody grabbing those crawdads and catching sheepheads and a few little smallmouth. And so we decided to come on out on the lake. The wind had changed a little bit and was slowing down a tad. So we came out here on the lake, and I mean, it was bad rough when we got out here. It was really bad. But it's eased up a lot. It's eased up a lot, got a lot better, and clouded up. Now the sun's trying to peek back out again, and when the sun's out, this is what happens. You catch a nice, pretty smallmouth. Dave, I liked it. That one was a big one, wasn't it? That one was a good one. That's just a good Lake Erie smallmouth right there. That's kind of an average size, but that is a good fish in anybody's book. But you just got to find them. You want to come up here and go fishing? Well, old Dave will put you on them. I'll guarantee it, because he put me on them in a really, really hard day. Pretty good day, right, Dave?
Yes, sir.
I think Dave's got the record for kisses, though. Goodbye, lover. There he goes.
Jimmy Houston.
As anybody have a tendency to make fishing a little bit too complicated. You take even a simple bait like a roadrunner, which will catch just about any kind of fish anywhere in the country, both freshwater and saltwater. It comes in a lot of different sizes. It comes in a lot of different colors. It even comes in different types of material that it's made out of. I really only use just a handful of the baits the majority of the time. Probably my all-around favorite would be a turbo tail, and really in a couple of colors. These two colors right here. I guess if I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be the chartreuse with a black body, but the chartreuse with a red body runs a close second. Now, I like to use this in about an 1/8 ounce most of the time, and I like to use this bait when I've got a chance to catch a variety of fish. You know, not just crappie fishing, but if I'm in a place where I've got a chance to catch black bass or catch walleye or catch some other species of fish, it seems like there's some little magic in this little turbo tail. Now, after a cold front comes in, without a doubt, and I really can't explain to you why, this is the best color. Fluorescent red head with a white body. Whether it's in a curly tail, now I use the curly tail when the water's warm. I'll use the marabou when the water's cold. The colder the water is, this is when you want to use a marabou. Now, old standby colors, solid chartreuse, solid yellow, and solid white. Probably as good as standby colors as they are. This color right here, I'm going to tell you what, this is a wintertime color that is really predominantly a crappie color. We call it a Christmas tree, red, green, and yellow. Now, I'm not sure exactly why it's called a Christmas tree. I guess a green and a red for Christmas, but a red, green, and yellow, a Christmas tree color. Keep it relatively simple. You really don't need a million baits, although I've probably got several million. Keep it simple. Keep it as simple as you can. Just a few baits will allow you to catch just about any kind of fish that you want in just about any time of the year that you want to do it. Marabou, when its water's cold. Curly tail, when the water is warm. That's a couple of good clues.
Well, it's late in the day and the sun's getting low.
Remember what it was like to fish a new lake for the first time? Well, here's one on the U.S.-Canadian border. The locals favor landlocked salmon and lake trout. But me, well, here's one we hold sacred in my native Kentucky, smallmouth bass. Today, we'll give you some tips that will help you on a new lake, or maybe right there on your home lake. We know the bass are done spawning at this time of year in this area. When they get done spawning, they come off the beds, they start moving toward the deeper structure. Underwater humps are good. Extension of points, little sunken islands. That's where the map comes in handy. Study the map. We've got a contour line that sticks out right here way off those points, and little humps that come off this bay right here. And we can find them. Be an excellent place to catch fish. And one thing I've noticed already is where the vegetation is growing. The vegetation is growing down to about 10 feet, so that means this lake generally has good clarity in the water because the sunlight has to penetrate. The grass line on the deep side and the shallow side, there's no grass growing up close to the shore, as I've found so far, which means you have a band of grass from about 6 feet out to about 10 feet. I'm at All right, there it was. Let's turn around now. Get the boat all set up on that. All right, here we go. One thing, we're talking about the water being clear, but it's got an algae bloom going on. Looks like an algae bloom. A lot of algae in the water. Bet that's just right on the surface, though, because most of the time it is. Get down below it. Let's start her off here. Our sluggo with some underwater grass down there. This might just be the ticket. You know, this is a little old baby sluggo. See how I got it rigged up? I got a weight, just a little old long weight stuck right in the middle of it right here. And a little hook, you'll bring the point back through and it lay right in the belly right there. It just jukes along. Boy, it's a killer on smallmouth this time of year. Herb Reed invented the sluggo. He kind of like changed fishing forever. It's a great lure to catch fish on. Time in on smallmouth. There's a good, that's what we needed. Look at it. Look at that. Woo, all right. Walk, little buddy. Yeah, walk about it. How about that, huh? Come here. Oh, how about that? Isn't that a wild-looking smallmouth, huh? Isn't that something? I love catching smallmouth. And right on the structure with the grass. Come on there, buddy. Absolutely. Eat the sluggo up. I'll show you how you're rigging this. You got that little bitty sluggo. I'm gonna have to get a new one. Now, what's unique about fishing this size little baby sluggo is it matches so much of the bait at this time of the year is very small. The way I like to rig it is put the hook right through like so, bring it out, and slide it up. And I want to put a little glue, which is very important, right on the hook right here. Glue that hook in place. I'm gonna slide her on up. right over the little dewey like that. See that? And simply, we know where it's going to go. We'll just back her off and punch her in. Bring her out. Now this is the key right here. See how we got the point of the hook? You want to make sure it's perfectly straight. And like that, because it don't have action. You give it the action. That's what's so funny about this bait that catches so many fish. Then you bury the tip kind of back in it so it makes it weedless. And that's normally how you would rig it. And what we're doing is adding a little weight. This is just a nail that's cut off. We'll poke him in right here. Isn't that neat? Bury him right in there, which will make him sink and at the rate of speed we want him. And depth and speed, that's the key. Bigger the nail you put in there, the faster he's going to sink. And you experiment around. This is like just a number 8. Nail cut off. How about that? Let's see if we can get another one. You see where that fish came from? Right off the band of grass that's running right around this hump. About 8 to 10 foot of water. It's the outside, the deep edge of the grass. He couldn't stand the slug-o action. What they like to do is just bury down right in the grass. Sometimes you can call them up. And believe it or not, as the sun gets higher, even though it's bright sunshine, as the sun gets higher on this type structure, a topwater bait with props and like a zero spook or a devil's horse or baits like that can work right in the middle of the day. Even though it's this time of year, which is obviously in June, because the sun is directly overhead shining, which makes the topwater bait on surface doing all this splashing and cutting up, penetrate right down in the grass where the fish are laying and suspending in the top of the grass too. Look there. There's another one. Look here. Let's see. How about you there, smallmouth? Woo! Do it, buddy, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Look at him. There's 5 more just with him, just like him. Look at him. Up there feeding, you believe that? Way to go. Come here, buddy. Come here now, come here. Come here, come here. You'll hurry and get off, I might can catch one of you buddies. You know, if we were in a tournament, you would have got off 10 times shaking like that. How about it? Go on down there. Let's see if we can get another one of those. Over here to where that cove starts, it's supposed to be this sunken island. Get lined up on it. Right here, we should hit it. It's nothing like having a map, and this is not a real good map. Just it shows it, because you can find them a lot of times by just idling around the lake. A lot of the best ones I've found. Just constantly watch your locator, see what's going on with it. All the time. Once you get the depth to locate it, you know, if you're looking for like 6 foot of water, you can set the alarm on this thing, and every time you're over 6 foot of water, it'll go off. And you can run around, you know, at pretty fast speeds checking for them. Uh-oh, there we go. There we go. My goodness, right there, we're right on it. Look at it. You see that? Some bait fish right there too. Good chunk of rocks. All right, now we've got it located. Let's get on the trolling motor and see how big it really is. Map don't have to be real accurate. Work it out knowing exactly where you're at. Always help. We'll start with a sole prop lure or a bass baffler. Kind of get their attention. I've caught a lot of them up in the middle of the day with this bait. Okay, roll now. Let's turn around. And I'm gonna get on, you know, like 16 foot. And just look at that. There you go, right there. How about it, huh? Look at that. Can you believe that? Oh my goodness, this is gonna be a good spot. I promise you. Well, he's not a monster. But he eat it, didn't he, huh? Did he eat that? Look at that. Woo! How about you, Mr. Smallmouth? Look at that. See what reading a map will get you? A body of water you've never been on. And I promise you, even though we're not local here, I bet you this is one of the local hot spots. Let's let this little boy go. See how many more live here. We work this out. Can you imagine how good this is going to be after a while? Well, I caught him good. You can hardly get him unhooked. That's why I carry my Leatherman pliers with me everywhere I go. Nothing like it, huh? Bye. Just think about how good this is going to be. This island right here is a great find. This is just what smallmouth love. If you look down in the water, you can see the broken chunk rock, and it's right out here way off the bank. Even if they spawn out here, which some of them will, or if they spawn right against that shore, this is a great holding spot right here, even the ones that are getting ready to spawn and the ones that are already through spawning. The topwater bait is awful high sunlight, but we'll work it real fast across the top. Just kind of roam around up here on the shallow spot, throw it off on the deep ledges. We might can call a fish up. Look at that. There was a little one with us. That was a yellow perch, what that was. It was so shallow we couldn't see them on the locator. They were up shallow because I'm sure we'd spook them all. We'll slip back down there where our marker's out. That'd be the place, I bet you. Look at that. How about that, huh? Little bitty fish. Look at that. Hey, there's something behind it. Look at that. Look behind it. I saw another one trying to get it. I thought sure I did. Yeah, look at him down there. Can you see him? Look, I let him swim back down there. Look. That's a whole school of them. They're yellow perch, too. And the smallmouth, look at this. Now, this isn't the size smallmouth we're looking for. But you're talking about some fun now. And right here in the middle of the day, can you imagine what it'll be like late this afternoon? When it calms down. Action will be fantastic. Whoa, I'm sorry, little fish. He's gone. When you got that kind of action in the middle of the day, you know you've got a lake that's full of smallmouth. And it don't get anything but just really strong early and late in the evening. Probably nighttime. We have a full moon right now while we're fishing this lake, which is just a terrible thing to have. Unless you are night fishing. All right, one thing I like to do, we're working this prop bait. It's a bass baffler, you know, the little props on the front and the back of it. That's good, but the big fish are not playing. Let's try some big old Zara spook, something without just totally change the sound. Just a great big old Zara spook and put it out there. Now we guarantee you that we can put a little bitty tiny topwater bait out there on a light line and have a lot of fun. But I'm still trying to find a big old smallmouth. They might be one here weigh 3, 4, 5, 6 pounds. I don't know how big they grow in this lake. Look at that. Walking the floor over you. One thing about it, you can see the sun is almost directly overhead. It's just, you know, it's actually a terrible time to catch a big fish. But on a sunken island like this, and especially in those northern lakes where the smallmouth don't get a lot of pressure, you can take the topwater bait, walk it across top with the Zara or the prop bait or anything that makes a lot of commotion on top, and call the fish out. That's where the broken rock is very important. It's a lot of shade. You know, even though some of those fish are probably down there just in 7 or 8 foot of water, it's a lot of shade. Let's get our prop bait back. We were catching smaller fish on it, but they're not hitting the Zara. And you know what it is? With the sun directly overhead, I've always had much better luck on the prop. Now, everybody's got their own opinion. In the zero walks, the nose slaps the water. It slaps down, it makes a little splash. It's like pop, 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 like a pop or a jerking. You know, all top water baits have their absolute different sound. The prop bait sprays water more than anything else. That spray is like minnows running. You've seen fish hit minnows, top water spray. They absolutely can't stand that when they can't absolutely see good. In other words, if it's real, real calm water, that zero is a lot better than a prop bait most of the time. And like on this place out here, you can see when I crank it real hard to get their attention, it's just spraying that water. It's like a little motorboat coming across, which is a real erratic way of working a topwater bait. I guarantee you it don't hurt to have the reflection off those little prop blades too when the sun's out. Look at that little fish under my bait. They just can't stand it. Look at that. Woo! Go for it, little boy. Go for it. How about it, huh? Look at it. Any man? Any man? Huh? Can you believe that? And see what he does? Oh! Can you believe that? See what he done? We threw it over there and we stopped it and just had it laying there. And fish was underneath looking at it. As soon as I twitched it, boom, he couldn't stand it. He just charged and eat it. Boy, you want to be careful with those hooks. I mean, because he eat it. Isn't that something more something? Huh? Isn't that something? Hey, we'll be right back with some more smallmouth action. Put open water above the grass, and that's where the fish will end up right before dark. That's when the topwater baits will just wear them out. But while we got this slug, I'm gonna move in and just jerk it across the top, kind of juke it along, right on top of that grass at about 4 or 5 foot. He's right on top of it and see. Now there's the grass. If you let it sink, do you see the grass? Or feel the grass? Then pop it, the short twitches. Look there, there he is. All right, come up here. Woo! Look here. Oh, man. Another good one, another good one. All right, come on, Mr. Smallmouth. Easy now, easy. Easy. Look at that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love it. Catching smallmouth has got to be my favorite fish in the world to catch. Come on. Come on. Huh? How about that? Is that a great fish or what? You know, if you're fishing structure, at the right time of year, at the right place, catching bass can be easy. I hope you learned something this week on the Great American Outdoors, because we like to do them like you like to watch them. And a lot of seminars that I do, people ask me, how do you fish structure? How do you fish different techniques? We've covered a lot of techniques this week, mostly fishing the humps and the points and extension and the broken rock. And there's more things that you can figure out about a pattern, the better off you are. Hey, I mean, we've covered some dandies this week, haven't we? Be sure to catch us next week, right here, same time, same place. We'll see you then. Take care.
Crankbait fishing for largemouth bass can be exciting, and today is no exception. Orlando fishes solo and teaches us how to cover an area for largemouth bass with a crankbait. We fish on one of the TVA chain of lakes, Chickamauga Lake, outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
So what we got here, we're here in early fall, late summer, actually early fall. And we got a point that runs across from here out to the buoy marker that you can see right out in there. We also have another point that runs from the same area out into the main part of the lake. And on the other side of the bay, we've got a point that runs from that little rocky point right there out into the main bay. And usually in the fall of the year, the bait fish start getting in larger schools and start making a move back into the creeks and bays and coves And the fish will tend to feed on those large schools of bait, getting ready for the cold water of the winter. But they'll hold on these primary points. And the primary points in the mouths of these bays and coves. So that's what we're going to concentrate on today. These fish we located earlier this morning are in about 8 to 10 feet of water. And so that's the depth they're holding. So, there's one. Yeah, he was on this side of the break. Oh, baby. He got it right there. I mean, after it came off of the structure. Look at that, that's a good fish. That's a good one. Ooh. Come in here, look. I'll be doggone, he got off. I can't believe that. How in the world can you lose a fish with 6 big old treble hooks stuck in it? But anyway, he was right there where he was supposed to be, in 8 to 10 foot of water. And you've got a pretty good bunch of ledges and rocks and stuff on the different depths there. But this point had just been, over the years, had just been a good point in early fall. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't catch 2 or 3 or more off this one spot. Then move right over there and catch some, and move right over there and catch some.
Orlando whip.
Down to that depth where I marked it. And most of the fish are holding about midway between the bank and that marker. And for the water, it's about 8 to 10 feet deep. You know, on different weather conditions, you may find them in 4 to 6 feet of water. You could find them out here even deeper than the area I marked. You could find them out 15 to 18 feet or even 25 feet. Now, at that time, a crankbait wouldn't be my choice for catching them. A crankbait's only effective in the depth where the fish are located. So when you get below, I'd say 8 to 10 foot, the average fisherman has a hard time catching them because it's difficult to get a crankbait to run deeper than 10 feet. Now there's a lot of techniques, like Paul Elias uses a technique. He has a real long rod, and he'll get down in what they call kneel and reel. He'll stick the rod tip in the water and crank like crazy and use light line, deep running crankbaits. And old Paul can make that thing run down there, you know, maybe 20 feet deep. But that's pretty tough fishing. When the fish are located deeper than 10 or 12 feet, personally, I'd rather take a jig or a plastic worm or even a spinnerbait and try to catch them out of the deeper depths with something other than a crankbait. Now, a lot of times in the fall, the fish will suspend. And there's one. Come on, baby. Come on up, baby. Now that fish was not. I caught the first fish pulling the crankbait, sitting back in the bay, casting across the point. I caught this one coming straight down the point. But I'll bet you, anything you want to bet, he was still in that depth range that we were discussing. You know, there's a lot of good. See my buoy marker here. I'm sitting right on top of the point again. That's how I caught that last one. I cast right out on top of the point, and I brought the bait right down the very top of it. Now I'm bumping along right there. Now the strikes I'm getting aren't real aggressive. They're not slamming into the plug. They're not hitting it hard. They feel more or less like that they're just going along the same speed as the lure's moving and closing their mouth on it for a second. And so you just feel just a slight heaviness. And when you feel that, any change in the action of that bait, you need to set the hook. And a lot of people think, well, you don't have to set the hook with a crankbait with all those hooks. I don't have to jerk hard. Well, you do have to make a pretty firm set. Even if you're using spider wire, you still should make a firm set. Now, you know, you don't want to go crazy with it, you know, because spider wire doesn't stretch. You don't have to set as hard as you would if you were using monofilament. But anyway, this small diameter allows me to run these big crankbaits probably several feet lower than I could run them on the same size monofilament. If I was using 30-pound test monofilament, it'd be hard to get this bait down to 8 foot of water. But I'm using 30-pound test that has a 10-pound diameter, so I'm able to get it down to deep depth, and that's important. There's one. Yeah. Now I've lost a couple of fish already today because they just come up through that hook. Why some days they get off and others they don't, I don't think I'll ever understand. Come on. That's a good fish. That's a 5-pound fish. And that's a bigger fish than I caught on the other crankbait. Come on, baby. Don't stick those hooks in my hand, whatever you do. Ah, come on. There we are. Well, I had him hooked good, but he just got the back hook apparently. But that's a nice bass there. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this one loose because I don't know whether we're gonna get any more here or not. We'll try it another couple of casts. Boy, I tell you what, that was a good one there. Now, you know, I don't know whether the difference in the size of that fish made any difference. I might have been able to catch him on that first lure I was throwing. But that fish was, the first couple of fish I had on were 2.5 and 3 pounds. That fish was a good 5 pounds. And I've seen a lot of times when just changing bait can mean the difference in catching good keeper fish, 2 and 3 pound fish, and 5 and 6 pound fish. So this may be a better bait for the larger fish. Comes this way. But this piece of structure is so close to the mouth of that cove up there that I would bet there would be fish on this at times and fish on that at times. And maybe in both places. But these points are just collection areas for bass. You know, they extend out in the big water, and when they're out there roaming around, they find that point, they move up on it. It gives them a place to forage more effectively, because they can run the bait up in the shallow water areas and then move up and pick them off. They can force bait from here back into the cove, the big school, and feed on them all the way till they push them up in the back into the cove and get up in shallow water and then eat them. That ought to be a perfect cast. So I'm bumping the bottom. There he is. Whoa, baby. Ooh, this may be a pretty good one. He sure whipped his head like he was. Now that's a good one right there, boys. Let me tell you, look at it. He ate that thing. Come on. Come to daddy. Oh, turn me loose. I'll let you go. Just don't stick those hooks in me and I'll let you go. And you won't even know that you've been caught hardly. Oh, all right. Now look at the size of this one. You know, you just can't complain about a fishing trip like this. I mean, look at the size of that baby. That fish will weigh over 5 pounds. Nice fish, beautiful fish. Oh, boy, he got my hand there. Ugh. Yeah, he drifted off a ways there. You know, nothing hardly works better than a crankbait for covering a lot of water and being able to find a school of fish. But for a crankbait to be productive, one of the most important things is to keep the crankbait in proper tune. Now, when I say tune, I'm talking about keep the crankbait running straight. Now, if you'll notice, this crankbait is out of tune. You see it running to the left, and it kicks up out of the water on the retrieve. Now, crankbaits can get out of tune for a number of different reasons. Even catching fish, throwing it against a rock or a stump or anything can knock a crankbait out of tune. But what you do to tune a crankbait, now, as I was reeling the crankbait toward me, the crankbait was running to the left. So with the crankbait facing me, what I'm going to do is bend the place where my line ties, the little screw insert in the lip. I'm going to turn it to my left. Crankbait's running to the left, I'm going to turn it to the left. And you want to do it just a very minute amount at a time until your crankbait runs true. Now you notice it's not flipping out of the water and it's coming right straight back to my rod tip. Now that crankbait's running straight. And again, I can't emphasize the importance of keeping your crankbaits, all of them, running true and straight. You know, that sun's come out a little bit, so this side, this point running out off this point should be a better place. There's one. Oh, that's a mean one there. Come up out of that. Oh, I got him fouled. No wonder he's pulling so hard. Oh, baby. I don't know whether yeah, I got one hook in his mouth. He just come back and caught his fin on the side. Oh, boy. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. Oh, baby. Ah. Folks, I tell you, I don't want to get a hook in my hand, and that's one reason it's taken a minute or two to... I've misplaced my big, thick glove that I usually wear when I'm fishing crankbaits. You know, sometimes in the summertime, these fish will get these places on them like that. You know, if they've been caught or handled, and you wipe that slime off, they'll get those little sores, and it takes them a while to heal up. Anyway, that's a good fish. I mean, it's not a giant, but it's not a bad fish. And he was out on this point probably in 8 to 10 foot of water. Okay. Now, let me see if I can just kind of turn right in here and back up so I can still fish that point. Yeah, I can reach it. I missed a fish on the cast before I caught him. So there may be several fish on that point. You know, again, I can't tell you how important it is to understand the particular topographical features of what you're fishing. Now, I mentioned earlier that we were catching these fish in 8 to 10 feet of water. I got a little old, I don't have a notepad, but I got a little old piece of white paper here. And I just want to show you what I was talking about. What we got, we got a big cove back in here. And it comes out and goes down the stretch of bank. We've got another point over here. We've got a point that comes off right after you come down the main lake area that runs out across the mouth of the cove. Then you got another point that runs from right there kind of out into the main part of the lake. Now, 8 foot of depth occurs right there and right there. But now that doesn't always mean that's where the fish are going to be at the 8 to 10 foot. You also have 8 to 10 foot, if you follow this contour line, in here pretty close to where these corners turn against the bank. One of those fish I caught wasn't on top of the point, either point, in 8 to 10 feet of water. He was on that break 8 to 10 feet between the 2 points. You also have, that also occurs over on this side. So when I came up on the point, I fished this 8 and 10 foot of water and then pull my lure across it in every direction that I could pull it across, all the way along this 8 to 10 foot contour to the top of the point and then back down off the side of the point. So you want to fan cast and concentrate all your areas in the 8 to 10 foot of water that's adjacent to that point, not just on the areas on top of the point. So a lot of people, I think, forget sometimes that the 8 and 10 foot of water is not exactly right on top of the point. You know, sometimes they can be off the sides on the same kind of drop in the same kind of water depth. Let me get back up here before we blow off too far. Now, folks, we've concentrated most of the fishing today in one little area here. As a matter of fact, we've never even got over to that point over there. We've caught a number of fish there and a number of fish here. So that'll show you how that these areas in the mouths of these coves and bays can really concentrate big numbers of fish. And once you can determine the depth and get some kind of lure to them. Now, we just happen to be using a crankbait today because I just feel like I can cover more water and catch more fish than I could with maybe a worm or maybe a jig and pig. But when you can find the fish on a given piece of structure, in this case primary points in the mouths of coves and bays and pockets, and you can get a bait where they are, you can catch it. You know, it doesn't take anything special to catch a bass once you've located it. You know, the fun to me is not so much in catching them as it is finding them. And I think the chase for the bass is probably more fun than the catching. But anyway, we've had a great time today. We've caught a number of good fish, crankbait fish, and I hope we've passed along some kind of information that'll help you next time you go fishing. So I'll see you next week.
After these messages.
Well, now what we're fishing today, folks, is this is a mouth of the diversion canal on the Santee Cooper complex of lakes. You have Lake Marion in the upper lake, 110,000 acres, and you have Moultrie down here where we are at the mouth of Lake Moultrie, and it's a 64,000 acre lake. There's one right there, right there, son. I don't know if it's a largemouth. Here, you run the trolling.
All right, go ahead.
I don't know if it's a largemouth or a striper. But anyway, in the 65,000 acre area, you have schools of stripers moving up right to the edge of the diversion canal. It's a striper.
Yeah.
Just a small one. And these are the school-size stripers, but they gang up here every morning. And I'm using a rattling Rapala, and that's just a 3 or 4 pounder. But boy, have we caught them here, guys. I bet we've caught tens of thousands.
How many of them big 10, 20 pounders we've caught right here, Ron?
Oh man, it's just unreal.
This is probably some of the most exciting fishing that anybody will ever do right here, as far as top water.
Or anything. I'm using a rattling Rapala.
Right.
But basically, there's a rock ledge right here. If that boat doesn't mess us up. See, look, there's birds diving right here. Sometimes in May and June, you remember how with the mayflies and all the little shad coming through here, all the millions of stripers that would just be schooling all over the surface.
Right.
Now they're not schooling on the surface so much, but there's still a lot of daggone stripers here. You know, Santee has changed a lot in the last 30 years, though, Guy.
It has.
I mean, we remember it when there was more stripers than anything, but now there's probably more largemouth than there were, and there's probably more catfish than there were.
Well, I'll tell you, it's still my #1 lake in the world. I just caught so many big largemouth down here. It's just unbelievable what the grass has done. The grass has really made a big, made this lake a big comeback, and you do just keep catching these 8, 9, and 10 pound fish down here, and the lake's so big, the pressure don't get it like the other lakes. I know back when you both guided some down here, every time I turned around and looked, you was coming in with a 10, 11 pound fish, and it is unbelievable. People just wouldn't believe it.
Well, back then, Santee Cooper was known as the freshwater landlocked striped bass capital of the world.
Right.
There's one. I got him. He hit my lure. He's not as big as the other ones. A little bit smaller. He sure hit it. Little baby striper.
Yeah. Still Fido, don't they?
Yes, sir. Here, once you run this roll, man, I'll get the thing off. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Now, the limit on these stripers, when we were guiding here, it was 10 each, any limit, any size. Right. Now, I think it's five stripers that have to be 21 inches. So they're a lot bigger now. Okay. I'm going to go over the ledge and see how deep it is over here.
Right.
I want to see here if it comes up that shallow.
You know, those stripers really follow that current. I mean, anytime you've got current, which, you know, you got to have bait fish, but still that current, there he is.
Ooh, yeah.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
He's going upstream with you? Yeah, there he comes. You mean deal if you throw them over.
I love it. Time's sake. Old time's sake, old stripers. I've caught so many of these things, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
One of the big stripers we've caught. Sam Cooper. Just incredible.
Look at, you don't want to give up either, does he?
He's tough. I'll tell you, in that current sea, we're running just as hard as we can. He's still pretty green. Still pretty green. It's just a, I don't even think that's a legal fish on the 21-inch size limit. We've had some legal fish today.
Yeah. He's close.
That's probably...
about 18 or 19. Which that's good. I tell you, it's going to make those fish come. I think it'll make them come back, you know, if they put that size limit on it, then keep taking all these small fish out here, they'll get big again.
Okay.
Don't let him get that hook in your roll.
No. You gotta hold them. You can paralyze them like a largemouth, and they don't have teeth, and so that's a good deal. Okay. They're banging it. This is fun. This is fun stuff. They're banging that plug. Catch any more stripers? I'm after bass from now on. So I don't do hardly any striper fishing anymore.
I'll tell you what,
my share.
There's nothing like catching a big old largemouth.
Where to?
Let's go over towards Russellville Flats.
Okay.
I believe we'll go over there and catch some fish. And
okay, set my motor down. Foot right here.
There'll be some little clumps down in here too, aren't there? Oh, there's it right on the edge.
See, 14 and no grass. Let's see. Now there's a little bit of grass. Let's see now. I see a little bit of grass right here.
Right. What's the edge of it, isn't it?
That must be the edge right here.
Right. You know, and too, I think the secret too is a lot of people don't know this. Most people will get up in that thick, heavy grass. You got the boat sitting out here in about anywhere from 12, 13, 14 foot. We're fishing right in the creek channel, the edge of it.
Sure.
And that's where more big bass are laying.
I'm watching that depth finder, guy, and I'm trying to keep that thing. What I'm doing right here, look at this depth finder. Guy, what I'm doing, I'm keeping this boat about 13 or 14 feet deep, which is just about the edge. Like right there, there's no grass, but we just drifted a couple feet. But, you know, there we just left the grass bed. They're there. They're drifting some more grass. And we're at the very outside edge of it, and that's important. I think the other important thing is to have the right jig. I'm using a big half-ounce Blue Fox jig with a trailer on it. I'm using a crawl worm kind of a trailer. And that is a neat jig. Okay, just dropping it out there, using 50-pound spider wire. I'm after the big one. Big old heavy-duty line.
You've got to have a big line to get them out.
I'm telling you.
If you don't heave-ho with them big fish, when you catch them down in that grass, you're not going to get them out.
You know, another thing I like to do when I'm jig fishing, I've taken the butt of this rod and made a little hug button out of it, stick it in my stomach or my belt, and just kind of pop it. I'm popping that jig.
Right.
About the way a crawfish would jump off the bottom.
Exactly.
Now, this is a big fish pattern. We're not going to catch a lot of fish. In fact, Ray Sedgwick had said that, you know, if we catch 4 or 5 fish doing this,
they're going to be good ones.
They're going to be good ones.
Right.
So that's the whole key to it.
You know, and you can catch them on worms, too. We're fishing jigs, but we've been fishing some worms, too. Just trying some different stuff. Whoa, there he is. Oh,
hey,
look at here. He's down in the grass. Whoa,
son, wait a minute. We finally we got something over 4 or 5 pounds.
Whoa, baby. Huh? Whoa, now look.
How big is it?
Well, it's big, bro.
How
big is it? I can tell it's big.
Huh.
Whoa.
Wait a minute, guy.
Whoa, man.
Is that another one? That's way bigger than 3 or 4 pounds, isn't it?
Whoa.
It's in the grass.
She's in the grass, bro.
Pull it up.
Huh? She's in the grass. I can't get her.
Better pull it up.
Come on, baby. There she comes. There she comes.
Huh?
There she comes. There she comes. Here. There she is. Look at that thing.
Look at that one. Wait a minute. Oh, man, alive. Hey, how big is that one? Wait a minute now.
What did I tell you?
How many days have we fished now and try to get a big fish like this?
I told him to come down here. I said, Roland, I ain't never come down here and spent 3 days and not caught an 8 or 9 pound fish.
Wait a minute, let's see if I didn't bring my Normark scale. I wish we had brought that. Now, I normally always have the Normark scale, and when I do, I can take a monster bass like this and weigh it. How big do you think it is, Guy?
I think it's 8 or 9 pounds.
It is?
I really do.
It's really a nice one. Son,
Man, that's what I've been. Hey, that's the reason I came down here. I told Roland, I said, hey, I want to catch a big fish.
Are you going to mount it?
No, man. I'm gonna turn this summer gun loose.
Oh, is that ever something?
Let somebody else catch
a big trophy bass to be caught again another day by a man that's caught just a few of them like this. Man, I guarantee you what.
Hey,
let her go,
I'd like
boys.
to see somebody else catch her.
Go ahead. See if she's man. Now that, my good people, is quality monster bass fishing at its best. We've been out here quite a while. That's the first good one, but still, there might be more.
I told Roland, I said, I guarantee you we'll catch a big fish out here in this grass.
I tell you what, let's do.
All right.
One of the things that's really important, because these fish do school up. It was right in here, and he tore the grass up. Right. Let's just work this whole area for about 50 or 75 feet around this circle.
Boy, I tell you what, I thought.
Only fish.
Hey, I thought I lost that son gun that got in the grass. I really thought I'd lost it.
Man, wow.
She buried up in that darn grass. I couldn't get her out.
That was a beautiful fish.
Well, Roland, it's your time, man.
I know. You know, I've been fishing down here at Santee, of course, all these years, but I haven't caught one in years that size because I've been gone. Yeah, boy, if I catch one 8 or 9 pounds, it'll really be great for me because it's been 20 years since I've caught a fish like that.
Has it really?
Here.
Oh, yeah.
I've caught big fish in Okeechobee, but
I know that.
I haven't caught any big Santee fish. How they hit, Guy?
Huh?
What were you doing?
They're just a little, I came through some grass, and it's just a little old bitty thump, you know, just like it's a little fish.
Now, the water's 10 right here, but it was 14 right there.
Right.
It's like a little bitty ledge right here on a little high spot.
I'll tell you what that was. That's about as good a feeling as you can have when you're fishing for bass and hit a fish like that on jig, I'll tell you that.
That is one monster bass. What a trophy fish.
Even 20-pound test line's not big enough.
20 pound is not big enough.
Because when you hang a big fish like, 8 or 9 or 10 pound down that grass, the first thing he's going to do is bury up on you and wind that stuff up. And you've got to heave-ho and come out with him. If you don't, you're not going to get that fish. And you got to have a big rod. Both of us are using a big, heavy-duty rod. So when you hit him,
7.5 foot flipping
yeah.
Heavy-duty.
Boy, hit him and just keep coming with him. Well, Roland, I just thank Steve Price. Steve's probably one of the better sports writers in the United States.
I fished with Steve, yeah, he's great.
And he called me up and he said, hey, you made it the hard way like Roland and a lot of guys did and held down a job and fished a tournament trail for 10 years. He said, let's tell them how you done it. So what we did, we told how I got started as far as holding down a job at Carolina Freight for 10 years and fished the circuit, and I saved my money, and how I went about getting sponsorship. A lot of people call me, well, how did you get your sponsorship? The book tells how I got my sponsorship, what I did for my sponsors, then we got 15 chapters on catching bass every way, any way you possibly can. And, if somebody wants a book, they just Guyke or Cherryville, North Carolina.
Cherryville, North Carolina. Boy, that's going to be a good one. You going to autograph me one first?
Yes, sir. Hey, sure am. And I got a few little special deals I want to put in the book. Because, Roland, really, if it hadn't been for Roland, I don't know if I'd ever even got it at Sandy Cooper. Because, I caught a lot of fish, but Roland said, hey, man, you can come down here and make a lot of money. What you got on your off days. And that's really how we made friends back in the 60s. And I was like Roland. I guided for about 10 years, and off and on, then I left and started fishing tournaments.
There's a strike.
Whoa!
There's a strike.
That's a good one, Roland. I'll guarantee you. Let me get out of your way.
Wait a minute. There's a big fish.
Huh? That is a damn big
That's a big fish.
Look at that son gun.
Man, alive.
That is a big one, Roland. That is exactly what we've been looking for right there.
Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. That's a big fish.
Whoa, take it easy.
That's a big fish.
Whoa.
That's a big
You want me to lift him? You go get him?
You going to lift him?
Yeah, I'll lift him for you.
Wait a minute. Whoa. A big, giant, largemouth bass, son. Man, I mean, big stripers in the morning. This one might be as big as yours.
I don't know,
some big fish here, son. Oh, watch out. Oh, son.
Look at that son of a gun.
He's as big as your fish.
I don't know, Roland.
9 or 10 pounds. I wish I'd brought that Normark scale. What a huge
I wish
fish.
you'd brought the Normark scale, too, because, hey, I've always wanted to beat him. My fish was bigger than that.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, folks. What a day. 20-something stripers this morning, a couple monster bass this afternoon. What a day. Santee Cooper is alive and well. Anytime you're in the low country of South Carolina and want to have some of the best fishing you've ever seen, come back where Guy and I learned our ABCs of bass fishing and striper fishing some 30 years ago. Going back to where it all started.
It's been terrific. I swear it is. I can't
Monster
believe it.
bass, monster fish. And folks, remember, Santee Cooper. We'll see you again next week.
Hi, everybody. Al Linder here for In Fisherman. Hey, this smallmouth just pounded a big chub minnow on a slip sinker rig. Now, all fish love live bait, but some fish prefer live bait over artificials a big portion of the time. On today's In Fisherman, we're going to be talking about fine points of live bait fishing that I know will help you catch more and bigger fish this season.
More largemouth bass on artificial than live bait, but I really can't say that with smallmouth bass. They're really suckers for live bait. Right now, me and my dad are going to really look at some different strategies for fishing big smallmouth bass with live bait. There we go. Beautiful smallmouth bass. There should be some more buddies of his up there.
Well, Jimmy, you're not going to have me on this artificial controller much longer. Jim has been catching fish pretty steadily here with the live bait. I've tried jigs, I've tried spinners, I've tried crankbaits. I'm throwing a topwater now, and I haven't had a lick. That tells you one thing. A, the fish are here, and B, for a number of reasons, they don't want the artificial presentation that I'm giving them, yet they are hitting that live bait. We're going to find out why.
One of the most important facets of angling is understanding the feeding nature of fish. If fish are in a positive feeding mood, you usually can find and catch more fish on artificials. You just have to get the bait close to them, and some will bite. If the fish are in a neutral or a negative mood, you may have to trigger the fish into biting. How do you do that? Baits may have to be retrieved in a certain way to generate strikes. For example, crankbaits may have to be bounced off the bottom. Spinner baits may have to be burned extremely fast or slow rolled. Jigs may have to be snapped hard or just dragged slowly on the bottom. If the fish are in a super inactive mode, live bait may be the only answer to catch any number of fish.
Give me one of them minnows.
It's unbelievable how you'd have to drag it right on the bottom, right in those areas, and let it sit. Even with this live bait, you have to let it sit there a long time to trigger a fish to bite. It's one thing nice with those big minnows is that they can actually sort of telegraph that there's a fish close to them. You put a big minnow on there, and it'll sit there and start to shake and quake, and you'll just let it sit there for a while, and sooner or later the fish will come over and drill it.
We're real high. We're right on top of the rocks. What I'm going to do is take the split shot off and just flat free line the bait right in this 2-3 feet of water. Just pitch it out, let the minnow swim. Hold the sinker over here in my pocket for later.
Structurally, this area here is a real classic example of where smallmouth would live in a natural lake or a reservoir, and where this live bait technique, such as we're fishing here, would work extremely well.
During the summer throughout the fall on any underwater structure, there is usually 1 or 2 key spots that tend to concentrate smallmouth during bad cold front conditions. On this particular multi-level point we're fishing, the sharpest drop-off areas with large rocks collect smallmouth draining off the point. When smallmouth are actively feeding, they tend to spread out all over the structure.
Oh, boy, he was running. There he is. Look at that one there. Great big one. Oh, come here. Whoops. Here we go. He's over on this side. Oh, great big boy. Boys are tough on light line. A long spinning rod really works well for delivering these live bait systems. This is a 7-foot Tour Edition rod, Zebco, and it really reacts well for fighting a big fish on light line. Oh, there's a good one. Let me see if I can get a hold of him. Oop, he's not hooked right in the tip of the snout. You can see how that fish was hitting. They've been hitting really light, and look where I got him, right in the very tip of the nose. There's really 2 different main delivery systems for live bait. This is one of them. What we would possibly do is add a split shot or a additional sliding sinker on here to fish a little bit deeper water. Right now we're fishing relatively shallow, or you could possibly use a jig, and you could tip like leeches or minnows on the back of the jig, which works really well for casting and sort of walking it down the edge of bluff banks or rock piles. Going.
Yeah. There.
Got him?
Yeah, I got him. That's a bigger fish.
That's a nice one.
Good one.
He looked like he was hooked a little bit better there.
Yeah, he grabbed the bait that time. One thing about live bait, it might not be the bait for all seasons, but I'll tell you, all seasons, it does catch some fish.
Next.
And still most dependable, I'm gonna need a net. Most dependable and reliable is the old simple slip sinker live bait rig with a night crawler, leech, or a minnow. Works all year long on almost all bodies. Well, here she's coming. There she goes. I got her. Yeah. All right, there she is. You know, boy, she's hooked good. You know, on a professional walleye trail, in the past few years, we've learned a lot about fine points of live bait rigging for walleyes. And that's some of the things we're going to be talking about on today's show. Let's put her back. Have one come up and take it out. Ooh. That is a good one. Looks good. Flip this over the back reel. Yeah, I can't tell you. I got so much line out here. There's a lot of fish. I'm marking a lot of fish. I threw that buoy up. Yeah, she just woke up. It seems to get, we seem to be getting them. I got better control coming this way. When we're drifting back, I'm blowing a little too fast. She's pounding down there good. That's that troll holding us. Nice eye, real nice eye. You betcha. Nice fish, really nice fish, Mark. All right. Oh, man. Here.
Look at that.
You got her?
Right in the corner.
Let me get that boat back in there. The key to live bait fishing is to first have good bait and change it a lot. A fresh, lively bait, no matter what type it is, will unquestionably trigger more strikes. When you can see fish on your electronics and can't make them bite, try tail hooking a minnow and hovering directly over the fish with your trolling motor. The erratic struggle of a tail hook minnow will turn fish on when a lip hook won't. The key to leech fishing is to not pull the bait too fast and to let the bait swim as natural as possible. You can achieve this by using a long snell, 8 to 12 feet, and light line, 4 to 6 pound test, and an extremely light wire hook that enables the leech to move as natural as possible. Professional walleye trail pros often place a small colored bead in front of the hook and leech. It definitely gets more strikes. Suspended fish, 6, 8, 10, 12 foot off the bottom. Here's a rig that will enable you to fish a bait precisely at the level you see the fish. The rig consists of 2 barrel swivels. One is tied to the leader, and the other is placed over the line going to the rod. On this barrel swivel, a piece of mono is used so you can adjust the distance off the bottom with a bell sinker and a split shot. A simple but deadly system. This chub is guaranteed to get me a 6-pounder, Mark. Good, lively one. You know, most of our fish this afternoon are coming out of about 28 to 34 foot of water. When you're fishing rigs in deep water like this, you want to stay as vertical as you can. I'm seeing a lot of fish and bait on a depth finder. So in that cone, I want to make sure my bait is coming right through the fish as much as possible. So you're using at least a 1/2 ounce sinker, sometimes a 3/4 ounce sinker if the wind is real heavy. Generally speaking, the deeper you go, the heavier the sinker, the longer the snell. The snell, depending on the bait you use, could be 4 feet to as long as 10. You start getting up in shallow water, say 15 feet or so, you'll lighten that sinker up to a 1/4 ounce or even an 1/8 ounce, and you leave the bait go far away from the boat, and usually you'll shorten that snell up quite a bit.
You know, the neat thing about live bait fishing with rigs is that it's really pretty simple. You can virtually carry all the tackle you need right in your shirt pocket. A few different size hooks, swivels, and a couple different size sinkers, and you're covered.
One thing with these chubs like we're fishing, these big chubs like this, you got to really let that fish go. Even a big fish, a lot of times, just don't gobble. It's not like fishing with a leech that a lot of times you just drop the rod back and set the hook, or sometimes on a crawler they'll get real aggressive. But in cold weather in particular, colder water, when the water gets in the 50s and you're pulling those big minnows, man, it's really important. I keep the bail open where you can instantly drop that line and feed that fish. You can tell, you usually can judge when you feel a steady throb like this, you know, then come up on him and eat yours. But the point is, let him go. Good. Oh. That's a good one now. Most guys, when they're rigging, will use more like a 6.5 to 7 foot spinning reel. You can use bait casting equipment too, especially with the new, especially with the new lightweight rods and reels that are on the market. But what you look for is a soft, medium to medium light tip. You want something you can really feel with. Enough backbone to set the hook. Normally you're using 6 to 8 pound test. Yeah, good fish. Good fish. Here you go. Oh, she is. It's a nice fish. Slip sinker and a live bait rig. It's an oldie, but a goodie. Let's let this one go.
Coming up. And over the past few years, some Key West, Florida saltwater guides have refined a method called power chumming. This live bait system drives king mackerel, tuna, and other saltwater fish crazy. Let's join James Lindner, Doug Stange, and Captain David Esquinaldo as they explain the power of power chumming.
Look at that big, black, beautiful eye. You look, see how their fin, that line on the top of their fin on the body, how when they put it next to it, if you fold it down, it fits right in that little groove.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, they're built for speed.
Well, I'll tell you what, David, 36 hours ago I was ice fishing.
Oh, boy.
Now, the key to what we're doing here, David's going to show you, they've gathered live pilchards in toward shore in the littoral zone, and now we're anchored up off of a reef next to the blue water. It's the Gulf Stream, right?
Yes.
And we're taking and chumming with live pilchards. So, as David chums, we're taking some of the pilchards and hooking them up and throwing them right back with the free offerings.
Once they find them, they go nuts on them.
Here we go.
You got to sort of, oop.
Come here. There we go. There we go. Way to go.
What we're trying to do is really let the bait just more or less naturally swim out there. Usually you'll get into an area first and you'll sort of scan with the sonar to initially find some amount of bait or at least a suspended fish.
Yeah. Most of the
prior to fishing.
Yeah, most of the time you're going to definitely find the fish first.
Yeah.
You'll see the school on the sonar.
You really don't set the hook all that hard. The fish hit it with such ferocity that they more or less hook themselves. All of a sudden we're letting it go, and all of a sudden the line will start peeling off, or it'll just jump, and you just snap the bail over and just lift up and tighten up, and the fish will just go, woo! If you pull it too hard, you'll tear the hooks out of their mouth, usually.
Awesome power. I got to come around over there.
Oh, there's another one.
Doubling up on them.
There we go.
Incredible. Look, well, we're getting closer. I haven't seen him yet, but he is around the boat. Awesome! Man, oh man! All right. That's one of the toughest and fastest fish that I've ever caught, I believe.
Look at that coloring stuff.
You want to get her back in the water?
Let her go. Yeah, hook bad.
Yeah, right there. Whoa!
Yeah, back in there. Or then there's the pilchards pushing around.
It's surprising, you know, we ran an article very similar to this that applies to freshwater fishing in the spring in Fisherman magazine where the guys at some of the lakes in Florida were netting threadfin shad and using the same chumming system with the live shad to trigger largemouth bass. And in the same lake, catch rates from the largemouth bass were way, way down. And yet, when this saltwater guide, Captain Raven Horn, started to use this system, he was catching 100 to 150 fish a day by using that chumming system. Live bait will really get those fish going.
Whether you're power chumming in freshwater or saltwater, the key ingredient is lots and lots of good, healthy bait. David collects pilchers by cruising the shallows, watching for pelicans and other birds dive bombing these bait fish. Then he slowly eases in and throws a cast net to catch the pilchers. Now the hard part, keeping them lively. Special bait wells are necessary to keep the bait well oxygenated so they'll survive until we reach the fishing ground.
Oh, they are tough. Big old amberjack. Woo!
Go 3 foot down there and you can't get them up in. There we go.
Wow!
Look at the color on that thing. Now that's a black.
No, it is a tremendous mutton snapper.
It really is.
My goodness.
Oh, man.
Oh, bring
What a
it
fish.
That's the one thing when you're live bait fishing like this, you're really getting a mixed combination of different species of fish, aren't you?
My goodness.
Boy, beautiful snapper.
That
Are we
is
talking
awesome.
good eating there or what?
Now that is chicken of the sea right there.
We're taking you out for dinner tonight, I can tell you that right
Good,
now.
good.
Hey.
There you go.
Oh, those fish are so pretty.
Once these fish get tuned into the free offerings of pilchers, the fishing can be red hot. If you'd like to get in on some fantastic saltwater fishing, call Captain David Esquinaldo at 305-294-5670. It's the power of power chumming.
There he is. Wait, well, we want a big. We like this action, yeah. Whoa! Look at that! Whoa! Another big. Whoa! Did you see the size of that barracuda?
Where? Right behind
Now
us?
you're talking live bait. There it is. Ooh.
You know, every year In Fisherman does some television shows about live bait fishing, and we get a tremendous response to it. In fact, in In Fisherman magazine, of national fishing magazines, nobody does more articles on live bait rig fishing for all species of fish than In Fisherman does. Hey, if you're interested in using live bait for any kind of fish that swims or want to learn more about it, pick up a copy of In Fisherman. It'll help you be a better angler. From our whole crew, you have a good, safe, fun fishing season. We'll see you on the water.
On next week's show,
Hunting University with Charlie Ingram. Learn how to catch more fish and bigger fish with Charlie Ingram for the mussel worm.
Hi, sports fans. I'm Charlie Ingram, and welcome to Fishing University. And today we have the most innovative soft plastic manufacturer that I know of in the country, and that is Herb Reed with us with Lunker City Products, the famous makers of Sluggo. And we got a new product here they call a mussel worm that Herb's came up with, and it's got a lot of different varied ways you can use this. Today we're going to be split shotting, and we're going to talk about stitching, which is something that's been used out west for a long time. And hopefully we're going to try to catch some fish. Now this thing will catch largemouth and smallmouth bass both. You just got to use it the same way on your home lake. There you go. There's one. Yeah. Herb, I believe that mussel worm is going to be all right. Well, that's a good one too. Well, that's pretty good. I'm in here to spot a wire. You know, one thing about having that mussel there, Herb, I think it's going to make the fish really hold on to the hook better, because they don't feel that hook at all with that thing in there. Come here, buddy. Ooh. That's what it looks like. It looks like he had that bait right between his eyes. How about that? Had that mussel right in his mouth there. You know, you see those signs that says it works for me? I think it's mussel worm's going to work for a lot of people. You know, with that little mussel on the back of it, actually, it makes the worm work completely different than
than it would another worm. It kind of gives it a little bubble or a bump there, doesn't it, Herb?
Yeah, kind of makes the worm bobble.
Yeah.
Jump around a little.
Now you're going to sell these in a kit.
Right. They're going to come in a kit and also in individual packages. But the kit will come with everything you need to use this type of lure and this type of technique.
You got it?
I lost it.
You
I
did?
had one, yeah. And it will come with a book.
With a book about how to do this. What we're talking about here is stitching. It's a technique that's been used out west for years for anglers to catch big fish with. And you're going to put it in a book, and what are you going to have in that kit?
Well, it'll be hooks, and there'll be some split shots, and what we're doing right now is more split shotting it than really stitching it, you know.
Well, we're going to show you how to stitch it, right?
That's right, yeah.
And I think you told me last night when we talked about using this muscle worm to do this stitching thing, you told me that that a long time ago, you know, to catch, you know, to be well recognized, I guess the guys before tournaments, they really had stitching became popular.
Back in the older days, a good bass fisherman was known by the size of the fish he caught, not the quantity of the fish he caught, you know. A guy, the pictures in the old boathouses and everything, it's a guy with a big bass, not a guy with 5 little ones, you know. Right. And stitching is really, the guru behind stitching is Bill Murphy, and he's kind of made the whole technique come alive for catching big fish, and he's caught hundreds of big fish over 10 pounds using stitching.
Stay tuned.
Bill's been doing this stuff for about 35 years.
Oh, really?
So he's pretty much dedicated his life to this type of technique.
The way I saw it worked, actually, a guy put the line in his finger, and he just kind of ran it back and forth and stitched it like that.
Yeah, we're kind of split shotting right now, but
yeah,
to really stitch is to pinch the line between your forefinger and your thumb, and just kind of you're retrieving the lure by rolling your hand over and pinching it and rolling it over. Okay. So you're moving the bait real slow, about 2 inches at a time, and your line's falling on the floor like fly line would be. And then what you would do to retrieve your line is just pick up your reel and reel up the slack, and then begin your stitching all over again.
What do you do if you got a lot of line, you get a bite?
If you got a lot of line, you get a bite?
You're laying in the bottom of the floor of the boat, yeah.
You just reel up that slack the same way and take it out.
From what I've seen here today, you know, with that muscle on it, it seems like the fish hold on to it real good because they don't feel that hook point. You know,
right.
It's got a lot of meat right there, so to speak. And actually, what we're doing here today for you sports fans, we're actually doing just, we got the same rig that you would use in split shotting. I mean, in doing this type thing, except we're split shotting. You got one?
Little one.
Little one. You got me, I'm hung up. Well, it's been a lot of days. I'd probably like to have that little 12-incher. It's really funny how they take the bait. They don't really slam it like you would think they would. It's just more of a, I tell you, if I wasn't fishing with this spider wire, I don't know that I would even feel some of these fish. It just gets heavy. And I bet that's true with stitching too. I bet they don't hit it really hard, really aggressively.
They're kind of inhaling the lure.
Yeah.
Is what they're doing.
It's a technique that'll work from the Tennessee River to the Great Lakes to the Northeast, and for you folks out there on Prime Sports West, you already know what I'm talking about with this stitching technique. It's a great way to catch big bass, both largemouth and smallmouth. We want to get in a real calm place here in a little while and really do this stitching technique, but there you go. Oh, Lee, that's a good one. Boy, you can feel them breathe on it. Well, I'm using 10-2 spider wire. It's 2-pound test diameter with 10-pound. And I'm talking about that fish. Actually, I never felt a strike. I just felt something just didn't feel right. And I'm talking about the feel is unbelievable. Come here, buddy.
That EWG's got him good. Herb, he got my mussel worm.
You got your mussel worm?
He got my mussel worm. All I got back was my gamakatsu hook. He got it. Sure did. Herb, is this a technique that'll work about all times of the year and in a lot of depths of water?
All times of the year. Pretty much anywhere. Clear water, stained water, it'll work anywhere. It gives you, what it does is it gives you the ability to catch fish in areas where you're not just catching reaction fish. You're deliberately fishing for a group of fish in an area rather than just trying to take the eager ones off. And that's the whole premise behind it.
In other words, it'll work on points and it'll work on, I guess points to me would be a real good place to fish this type of thing. Very similar to the points we have here. Just later on in the year, you just move out further on the point.
Deeper,
yeah, move out deeper on the
technique.
point. It'll be the same situation.
Yep.
You gonna let me have one more worm? Actually, we're doing this show for you before this bait actually is ever going to be on the market. But by the time you get to see the show, it will be on the market, and we only have like just a few worms made up. These are prototypes that Herb's made, and we're fishing a watermelon color, which is a great color for clear water, and especially if you've got grass or anything around your home lake. Well, I think you can use it a lot of different ways. You know, I think a lot of times we use a ribbon-tail worm in certain situations, especially when fish aren't real active, that this worm would actually come near catching them, even flipping or really doing anything with it. And I know it'll be a great Carolina rigging worm. I mean, you know, because of that muscle.
I think a ribbon-tail worm sometimes looks too active to fish, especially when if there's a cold front or something, and they know everything else is slowed down around them, and the tail just works so fast on a ribbon tail, it looks a little too active. It makes it look unnatural.
Right. I think that's exactly right. That you're going to offer in this and kind of relate to which ones you think will work the best under which conditions with this mussel worm?
Well, most of the colors are going to be in natural colors in the standard worms, because you pretty much are doing this a lot in clear water and being the brown hues and the green hues and things like that. I can see over there, I see something.
Yeah, I see a bunch of rock.
Bunch of
rock. That's one thing, early in the spring when the water temperature is like 63, 64 like we're using here. Two pieces of equipment I think is real essential on your bass boat, and that is a bottom line side finder, because it really helps you pick out which rocks actually you catch more fish on. You got one?
Yes, sir.
Whoa, that's a good one.
A nice smallmouth.
Yeah, it is. Well, I knew you'd probably catch the biggest one. That's a big one. That's well over 3 pounds. Herbie's trying to go around this end, isn't he? That's good fish, Herbie.
Swallowed that mussel worm.
Did
he? Yeah.
Yeah, they'll eat that a lot. You get it?
Got it.
Got it. Now this will work on your home lake, whether you're fishing for largemouth or smallmouth or whatever. Just any type, you know, any type deal. Early in the year, you know, if you got rocks in your home lake, it'll work good. It'll work good on stumps. It'll work good on anything. Using the same type technique we're doing. I was going to tell you about, I was one time fishing a tournament. I mean, not fishing a tournament, fishing with a friend of mine, and We fished Pickwick Lake a lot at that point in time, which has got probably the biggest smallmouth in the world. And he called me one time in February, and down in there, it's really very hard to catch a bass unless the water temperature gets to about 52 degrees or 50 degrees. And he had gotten one of these bottom line side finders, and he took it out that day, and he said, he called me that night, and he said, I went fishing today. And I said, you did? I said, did you catch anything? He said, no. Well, I caught one. He said, I caught a drum. He said, but you know, I put that new, and I'll never forget his terminology. He said, I put that new side looker on my boat. He said, that thing really works. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I took it out, and he said, I caught that drum, and he said, I'd let him out on the end of my line. And he said, that fish would actually go out there and that side finder pointed. He said, so I know it works. And about a week later, I went fishing a lake very similar to this, where I could go down the bank and see those big rocks, about 3 or 4 feet of water. And I had a grub, and every time that side finder go off, I could catch a fish. Now, I might fish 100 rocks and not get a bite. But then I could, when the side finder go off, I might have to throw at that rock 2 or 3 times, but I'd always catch a bass off. It's one of those perfect days when you can catch one on every rock, you know, that you see. Or that the side finder sees one on, but there wasn't any crappie or carp or drum even up that day. All that was up there is bass. Now, it won't tell you what species it is, but it will tell you that fish live in the area. So it is early in the year when these fish are up in shallow water like this, it is a really good piece of equipment to have. We're using here today, and you know, I'm using the bottom line side finder to actually help spot these fish up on these shallow rocks. But using a spider cast Mitchell rod and a spider cast reel with 10-pound test, 2-pound diameter spider wire line. One of the neat deals about this is the rod has got an anti-foul tip on it. And I know a lot of you, especially if you're like me, when you first started fishing spider wire, you had a problem with it kind of wrapping around the tip. Well, this kind of eliminates that situation there. Using a mussel worm from Lunker City Products, a new worm that I know that's going to make a good impact in your tackle box, just like it is here today. Using a split shot, one of the California style split shots with a rubber band in it, and a 1/0 EWG Gamakatsu hook in it.
The Pros Tip of the Week with Guy Aker is brought to you by RM Silicone Skirts. They're fished by more pros than any other skirts in the world.
One of my favorite ways of fishing spinnerbait is what I say pitching or flipping underhanded. And I'm talking about with the medium action 6.5 rod. What I do is load the rod up, make it do the work for you. I can take this rod and go underhanded, under a brush, under docks, shooting it when I'm in a straight-on shot out of the boat, from the boat. And again, if you want to pitch left to right, just come right back up, either go left out of the left-hand side of the boat, or come back up and go to the right. A little underhanded shot gets you under the structure where you'll catch more fish. It's hard to throw an overhand cast and try to get under the structure. And when I'm fishing like this is probably one of the best baits, or one of my favorite baits, and that's a Blue Glimmer RM skirt.
For more tips, get Guy's new book. Send $14.99 to Aker Books, 1036 Country Club Drive, Cherryville, North Carolina, 28021.
Another thing you need to keep in your notes is when you set the hook on this type bait, especially if you're split shotting, or like Herb did there just then, you just start reeling. And actually, you don't do much of a jerk with it.
Just kind of tighten up and
yeah, just
pull.
tighten up. With that KO type hook or the EWG type hook, it actually, you don't really need to set the hook. You just kind of tighten up and start reeling fast. Especially with a zero stretch line like I'm using. Chiquita. That's a pretty nice little piece.
To show you what I normally rig this split shot rig is, I normally put the split shot on the line before I tie the hook on. I'll take a pair of pliers and just crimp it lightly and slide the split shot up the line, and then give it a little bit more of a pinch. That way you don't damage the line, and you can cut the line off where you crimp the split shot before you tie your hook on. That'll help hold that split shot in place, and you won't have any damaged line. And to rig this mussel worm, I use a small bait holder style hook. And as soon as I tie this hook on, I'll show you how I skin hook the mussel worm. What I'm going to do is use a polymer knot. What I do is take this small bait holder and just sew it into the point of the worm. It's a real pointy worm. And then sew it right back out. Pull the eye down and turn it and kind of sew that point through so that the point is sticking out of the plastic. It's just kind of under the skin. And because of the angle on the point of a bait holder style hook, when you set the hook, that point will just roll out. It'll have a cam action. It'll just roll right out into the fish. And that's basically how we do it.
I'm using a 1/16 ounce split shot. What size are you using?
It's about that, maybe a little bit heavier. Didn't touch it that time. It's just bouncing through the rocks.
Got him. Oh, that's a good one. Come out front. That's a good one. I'll get out of your way. Was it third time's a charm?
Third time's a charm.
And that proves to you consistency, sports fans, is because of the fact that you could actually, Herb just took his time and kept fishing for that fish and fishing for it and fishing for it and finally got it to bite and take the bait again. I've seen that happen on largemouth and smallmouth bows.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Well, we got an ideal. You got water temperature is 62, 63 on my bottom line unit here. It's just a perfect time to fish. Got it?
Yep.
Pretty good one?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. You're fishing up shallow in mine. It's all right, come on around up here. Herbo Reed.
Come on.
Brought to you by Yamaha Outboards. For your nearest Yamaha dealer, call 800-88-YAMAHA.
Well, sports fans, that winds up another class on Fishing University, and here are a couple tips that you really should keep in your notes. Number one, when you're fishing like this, make sure you fish with a spinning rod and with these no-stretch super lines. I think you'll catch a lot more fish. The main thing you'll need to learn today is to fish slow. We want to thank Herb Reed for being our special guest here this week and helping us to manufacture these great baits that we caught these fish on. And we look forward to seeing you right here next week on Fishing University. Look at that hog.
The great state of Texas is the site of today's lesson. Fishing in the wind can be difficult at best. In today's lesson, Larry ties on a rattling diamond shad in covered water, searching for largemouth bass in East Texas rattlers.
George, I got that one. Oh, and he's a dandy, too. This one here is a real fish. I mean, a real fish. Oh, I got him with one hook right in the nose. Just barely got him. One of them you don't want a horse, you'll have a lure right in your face. Look at that. Right in the nose. Just barely skin hooked. Boy, it was in a tough spot, I'll say that. That's a good fish right there. Good fish. Be sure he didn't straighten my little hook out. A little point right there run off the bank, and there seem to be several fish on it. Usually when you find a little area that's got a lot of fish in it, that's what it'll be. It'll be either a point, or an underwater hump, or an isolated grass bed, a small area that's got something to hold a school of fish. You can just go down the shoreline and catch fish on this lure, but when you catch more than one, I mean, on back-to-back casts, that's usually a good place to fire up your big engine and go back and make another drift. I don't like casting a lot of certain lures into the wind, and that's why I'd rather go back and drift through an area and be real quiet and then fire up the big engine, idle all the way around it, and make another drift.
If you find a small head or some other feature that is holding a school of fish, after drifting through that area, start up the main motor and circle around wide, setting up to make another drift through that same area.
Yes. Oh, and he feels like a good one, too. Hear that thing rattling coming through there. Listen at that wind howl. Well, you're a beginning anyway. Can't get off either, can you? Not a bad start. You know, one of the hardest things for a fisherman to do is figure out what to do when the wind's a-howling like this. The only thing I know to do is just turn the trolling motor on, tie me on a bait like a diamond shad or a spinnerbait, and cover some ground. Move on. Just go right on down the shoreline fishing anything you can see that might hold a few bass. Because it's so hard to stop and fish little detail stuff when that wind is a-galing. Excellent choice of lures for windy days. Not only that, but when it's blowing real hard and you're on a strange lake, you need to look at some ground. This particular bait here, you can cover some ground with it. Make long casts and just wind the fire out of it, especially if the water temperature is right. And I think the water temperature is right for this lure anytime it's above 45 degrees, especially in your southern states. You get way south, it has to be a little bit warmer. Florida bass don't. Gee, man, one hit a minnow right there to the boat, and I got one. That's one of the great things about Texas lakes. All these lakes down here got this scattered milfoil and hydrilla in them. Come here to me. Oh, I'm scared of them treble hooks now. And when you've got that scattered grass, them little fingers of coontail or hydrilla or whatever you want to call that shallow vegetation, this bait will catch them. It don't catch them near as well in wide open water lakes that don't have the vegetation, but it's a good bait anytime the bass are in less than 5 or 6 foot of water.
when lipless crankbait or any other bait you can cover a lot of water quickly with. Fish any areas that might hold bass, realizing that fishing small detail targets under these conditions can be very difficult.
Well, hang on there, baby. Good one. Good. What a... He's jumping like a tarpon. Oh, don't put too much pressure on them when they run out of that boat, because that's how you tear them off. Be ready to give them some line. Well, that's where you make most of your boo-boos. When you're bass fishing, is keep putting too much pressure on a fish that's got treble hooks. Always let him run. Wear him down good. Well, this one don't want to get wore down, and I'm getting tired of fooling with him. Gotcha. Got to keep them pliers handy when you're fishing with treble hooks. You get a face full of treble hooks in that fish, and you can't hardly pick them out without getting hooked. That ought to be a strike. Boy, it's a blowing. Oh, I mean, it is a blowing. Whoa! I mean, he like took the rod away from me. Way out there, coming up. I mean, that wind is a whistling, folks. Would you come around here? You're straight behind the motor. Well, just whoop me. Come here. You're a bad bass. That's all I can say for you. Now, that's not an easy one. When they get them lips glued together, you better be careful. That's a good bass. I'm gonna fire up the big motor and float back down through that in a minute. That's a lot of fish right there. Mustad brought it out in treble hooks. The new triple grip hook, hey, that's not a joke. This hook actually does what it's supposed to do. If you'll notice, each one of these trebles is pointed in toward the eye of that lure. I'm gonna tell you what, when it makes contact, if you ever get the hook in a fish, when you set it, it buries and he can hardly ever throw that hook. And not only that, but watch this little trick. When you take the end of your finger and you push down on the point of that hook, if you'll notice, that hook didn't kick away from me. It wants to bury. The angle of that point is made perfect so that you get super penetration. And not only that, you know, this little bait right here, that type of lure right there, the diamond shad, that's one of the hardest lures there is to keep fish on. You put them triple grips on there and you're going to see a big difference in the amount of fish that you land. Really listen to pro fishermen. You know, there's a lot of certain types of hooks that we need for different types of fishing. A new triple grip, it's outstanding. But not only that, the Finaki series of hooks, which is a inline worm hook or a lizard type hook, this thing is just like the kale hook that you use on your tube baits. Your point is perfectly in line with the eye of the hook. When you rig a lizard up, you rig that lizard up so that the point lays flat on the belly, and then you just prick it back into the lizard. Then when you get a bite, you don't have to set the hook. All you do is just kind of pull back on the fish, and he hooks himself. These hooks are so sharp that, I mean, they just stick to you. That's the way a hook should be. When you buy it, you shouldn't have to sharpen that thing. They should all come sharp like that right out of the package. Another good thing about this bait here is it's simple for any bass fisherman. I mean, you don't have to be a real skilled fisherman to catch bass on a diamond shad. Now, occasionally, in certain cool water situations, there may be a very, very special technique that it takes to catch more fish. Like after a front, you might have to fish it down real slow and just a little bit deeper water. There's always little techniques that pay off at times when fishing changes. Jerking it out of the grass and letting it fall. Boy, that's one sometimes that if you can just tick the grass and get it hung and just yank it out of it, and when you yank it out and it stops, bam, that's when they bite it. But most of the time, anybody can tie it on their rod and just go fishing and catch fish on it. George, I got that. Got him for now. Ooh, he's a good one. This one is a good one. I'm gonna play him a little gentler. Try not to let him leap out of the water so much and see if I can land him, because I'll tell you what, when you put a lot of pressure on a big fish with treble hooks, they can see how he jerks that head. When they yank that head back and forth like that, they tear them holes and fixing to come up. Let him run, give him a little line. Don't keep too much pressure on him, because boy, if you horse them with them little bitty hooks, I mean, now they're gonna get off. That limber rod, that glass rod helps a lot. See, he's just about to rip off on me. No! Gotcha. You know, he had done pulled that front hook plumb out. That's a good fish. Fun fish. Might have another one over there. Boy, occasionally you catch one, jump up and throw right back in that same area, because sometimes you'll get another one. And I'll tell you another thing. When you got fish feeding like this, I mean, even when they're not feeding, you may have 2 or 3 or 4 bass there, or you may have a whole school of them, and you catch one of them. And when you catch him and he goes to struggling, it excites that school, and you're liable to sit there and just catch a bunch of them. It's getting them excited. That's how you catch lots of fish. A lot of these fish seem to be right toward the center of the cove. So that happens a lot in the fall of the year. That's when they go. Oh, there, got him. I mean, that one there short strung me right by the boat. Right out in the middle. They get out there close to them channels in the fall, following them shad, and they don't really relate to the shoreline cover. He is a good one. That is a good one. Oh, come here. Right out in the center. See, that's where a lot of fishermen miss bass, by staying too close to the cover at times of the year. And fall is one of them. Normally the fall, the fish have already moved off the shoreline cover, and they tend to go toward the channel, and a lot of times that's right out in the center of a pocket. And that's why a lot of times it pays you to stay way away, make long casts.
Many fishermen miss time of year.